So back to our box. What have we explained? The only thing we really haven't explained is really the heart of the beast, aside from the CPU, and that would be, and I really compare this to the human heart, if we're going along with the body analogy, and that would be your power supply. And this is your power supply. It's a little box that usually sits up, 90% of the time sits up in the top of your case, top back of your case, although in newer cases they sit down at the bottom. And the power supply is responsible for taking your household current, which is 120, or if you're in Europe, 240 volts, and coming in through a big thick power cord right here, and it has a bunch of fancy capacitors and all kinds of circuitry that I won't get into now, that basically transform that AC 120 volts or 240 volts into 12 volts, mainly 12 volts, also 5 volts, 7 volts, and 3.3 volts. And that's what any of these colored wires are going to have. All the black wires are grounds, so they don't really carry any voltage. But all the colored wires carry either 5 volts, 7 volts, or 12 volts. The yellow wires always carry 12 volts. Anything you see that is yellow, aside from the serial ATA cable, is 12 volts. Now this is DC that's coming out. So you've got AC going in, which is on a wave, alternating current, back and forth. And then you have DC coming out, which is kind of like, it is actually the same voltage your car uses. It actually puts out 12 volts DC, and that's what everything in your computer basically runs on. So for example, you'll see a Molex, a typical, we call these Molex connectors. This is a power connector that will plug into the back of a hard drive or a cd-rom drive, and I think I have it upside down. I do. Plugs in there and basically provides power to whatever devices you have in your machine. And you'll see there are 2 black wires in the middle that are grounds, and then on one side you have a yellow wire, which is 12 volts, and on the other side you have a red wire, which is either 5 volts or 7 volts. I can't remember. I'm pretty sure it's 5. You'll have to excuse me because I am a bit loopy from that Robitussin. Power supply is the heart of your computer. Without a good power supply, you might as well kiss all your other hardware goodbye, because a poor power supply is going to last less than a year, is going to heat up, and it's going to start putting out the wrong voltages and generally shortening the lifespan of all the components in your computer. So lastly, the last thing I want to go into is cooling. Any good computer is going to have at least one cooling fan, and that's probably going to be at the rear. Here you can see a dusty fan. I happen to know that this is actually a very noisy dusty fan. Like I said, any good computer is going to have usually a large diameter fan. 120 millimeters is usually what they have nowadays, and it's responsible for pushing air this direction out the back of the case. And so you will generally find that on the front of your case you'll have an open space or a little series of grills, or grills around here, or some kind of open area where the case can pull in air, have it pull in through here, cool all the components, and then get sucked out of the back of the case, and all the hot air is blown out and keeps your computer nice and cool. A good computer is going to have at least one exhaust fan and at least one intake fan. An even better computer especially an enthusiast level computer, is going to have several fans. You can see that this computer actually has one exhaust fan, and it has 2 intake fans. And actually, I happen to know for a fact that this computer has 4 intake fans. There's actually 4 80mm fans right here, which is stupid, but I didn't put it together, so it's not my fault. You generally want to have the same amount of intake as you do output. So yeah, and this computer, and some computers do, actually have a fan on the side. This computer has a fan on the side panel, which is meant for blowing cool air over from the outside of the computer over the entire motherboard area, and just generally keeping things cool. If you come over here and look at my machine, because my machine is the Uber rig, or it used to be anyway. It's a couple years old now, so it's getting up there. But as you can see, my machine has big fans. It has one big 200mm fan up here in the front that's pulling air in. There's actually a filter behind this that keeps dust out. It also has another big 240mm fan that's even bigger, that's pulling air in and blowing it over the entire motherboard and video card and keeping everything cool. And then I can't show you, but it also has another one of these 200mm fans in the back that's blowing hot air out the back, keeping everything cool. And it has another one, yet another one up here at the very top. You can kind of see the reflection on the blue reflection from the light on the wall. That's blowing out air too. So again, this being an enthusiast level computer, it has a very high-end CPU in it, which runs hot. It has a very high-end video card, which runs hot and uses a lot of power. And so it needs the fans to keep it cool. Look at there, I've made a dust mark in my case. That's a brand new case and already dusty. So if I were to say unplug all these fans and shut all these fans down, even sitting at idle, my computer would probably have a meltdown within about 3 or 4 hours because of the way I have it running, the clock speed I have it running at, and the stuff that I do. If I were to actually sit here and fire up a game or something and I had all the fans turned off, it would probably have a meltdown within a matter of a few minutes. It would crash. Well, when I say meltdown, what it'll do is shut itself down to protect itself. Most computers these days have some method of shutting themselves down or halting CPU process so that the computer does not fry itself, or the CPU does not fry itself. So there you go. That's pretty much a computer in a nutshell. So next time your grandmother calls this a CPU or a hard drive, you can correct them. Those of you who didn't know, this is a computer. It's not a CPU. It's not a hard drive. All those are inside the computer. If you like, if this was empty, we would just call it a case. And it is a case. It's a case that holds all the components of a computer. So there we go. We are done. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Certainly took up a few minutes of my time. But I was bored. So if you have any questions, comments, feel free to leave them. But remember that if you're an asshole, I'm going to delete your comment anyway. Constructive criticism, however, is always welcome. Hope you guys enjoy. We'll see you later.